It's totally unacceptable to me when people dump on New York. But how can I stop them when it's plain to see we're dumping on ourselves?
In an interview with Betty Furness on Live at 5, Brynner said he wanted to leave a strong anti-smoking message.
Doubted by everyone until the facts came out. Stick around, because this video proves them all true, and you won't believe what really happened. Yul Brynner wasn't born in some exotic palace like he sometimes hinted, but his real start in Vladivostok, Russia, in 1920 was plenty dramatic. His dad, Boris Brynner, was a Swiss-Mongolian engineer who worked in mining, and his mom, Maruzia, had Russian roots with a touch of Buryat heritage from Siberia.
My time was so limited, but to make that commercial that says simply...
His dad left for another woman, and his mom packed up Yul and his sister Vera to flee to Harbin, China, where they lived among Russian exiles in a bustling, multicultural city. Life in Harbin was no easy ride for young Yul, who went by Yuli back then. He attended school but got kicked out for mischief. By age 13, he was earning money playing guitar and singing in nightclubs, soaking up gypsy folk songs that would stick with him forever. His mom worried about his wild ways, so she sent him to Paris to live with relatives, but that's where things got even crazier. He joined a circus troupe, training as an acrobat and trapeze artist with the famous Cirque du Hiver.
Je crois que le cinéma est un moyen de communication mondial et universel tellement important.
He shattered 40 bones in his body, including his legs and spine, leaving him paralyzed from the waist down for 8 long months in a Paris hospital. Doctors said he'd never walk again, but Yul's sheer willpower proved them wrong. He pushed through painful rehab, using crutches at first, then walking unaided. While recovering, Yul dove into books and music, picking up languages like French, German, and even some Chinese from his Harbin days. He already spoke Russian and English, but by his 20s, he mastered 11 tongues in total, switching effortlessly between them. Friends later said he'd chat about art in French with his wife,
Mrs. Anna and the king, and in fact to the whole production, who asked me to try it.
I cannot stand all the time. And in this country no one's head shall be higher than king's.
He hung out with gypsy musicians, learning their rhythms and stories, even claiming some Romani blood to blend in, though his sister Vera later called that out as exaggeration. But one wild tale that checks out? As a teen scraping by, Yul supplied opium to the famous poet and filmmaker Jean Cocteau, who was hooked on the stuff. Yul's own son, Roch, confirmed it in his book. Yul ran errands for Cocteau's circle.
I've been offered a lot for my work, but never everything.
War clouds gathered, and in 1940, Yul's mom decided it was time to escape Europe. They sailed to America on one of the last ships out before Nazi occupation, landing in New York with little money but big dreams. Yul worked odd jobs, modeling for photographers, driving trucks, even guarding factories during wartime shortages. He studied acting under Michael Chekhov, nephew of the playwright, who taught him to channel inner strength into roles, something Yul used to transform his exotic looks and accent into an asset. His first break came not on stage, but behind the camera. In the late 1940s, Yul directed episodes for CBS TV shows like Danger and Studio One, even helming a kids' puppet series called Life with Snarky Parker. He was good at it, earning steady pay, but the actor in him craved the spotlight. In 1946, he married actress Virginia Gilmore, and they had a son, Yul Jr., nicknamed Roch, but the marriage was rocky, filled with Yul's wandering eye and Virginia's career frustrations. By 1949, Yul landed his film debut in Port of New York, playing a smuggler with that intense stare that would become his trademark. Critics noticed his charisma, but stardom was still a ways off. He dabbled in Broadway, appearing in Lute Song with Mary Martin, who became a lifelong friend. Little did he know, she'd change his life by recommending him for a role no one thought he'd nail, the King of Siam in a new musical. Yul had curly hair back then, but costume designer Irene Sharaff suggested he shave it bald for the part. He balked at first, thinking it'd look awful, but once he did, it stuck, becoming his signature look that made him stand out in a sea of Hollywood heartthrobs. That decision paid off big time. In 1951, The King and I opened on Broadway, and Yul's portrayal of the stern yet vulnerable monarch wowed audiences. He performed it 1,246 times in the initial run, winning a Tony Award, but the real grind came later with tours and revivals. Over his life, he played the king an astonishing 4,625 times, a number so huge, people doubted it until records proved it true. Each show demanded physical stamina, dancing and commanding the stage bald-headed under hot lights, but Yul thrived on it, turning the role into his personal empire. Offstage, Yul's life was just as eventful. He divorced Virginia in 1960 after affairs with stars like Marlene Dietrich, who was nearly 2 decades older, and Ingrid Bergman. His charm was legendary, women fell for his exotic allure and deep voice. In 1960, while filming The Magnificent Seven in Mexico, he married Chilean model Doris Kleiner on set, and they had daughter Victoria, with Audrey Hepburn as godmother. But that marriage crumbled too, amid Yul's relentless work schedule and rumored flings. Yul wasn't just an actor, he was a Renaissance man. He photographed everything, candid shots on movie sets, refugee camps during his UN work, even family moments. His books, like Bring Forth the Children, documented his trips to Europe and the Middle East, highlighting forgotten people. As a special consultant for the UN High Commissioner for Refugees in the 1950s, he advocated for displaced folks, drawing from his own family's escapes from Russia and Europe. Skeptics wondered if a movie star could really make a difference, but Yul's efforts helped raise awareness and funds, proving his commitment was genuine. One doubted story from this era? Yul's claim of partial Mongolian ancestry. He spun tales of being born on Sakhalin Island as Taj Khan, son of a prince and gypsy, but his son Rock's research in Soviet archives confirmed the Vladivostok birth, yet also verified the Swiss-Mongolian roots through his grandfather Julius Brynner, who traced back to Mongol lineages. So while Yul embellished, the exotic heritage had truth, making his mysterious persona a mix of fact and flair. As the 1950s rolled on, Yul's fame exploded with films like The Ten Commandments, where he played Pharaoh Ramesses opposite Charlton Heston. To match Heston's build, Yul lifted weights obsessively, bulking up so much it changed his look for The King and I movie. Audiences loved his villainous intensity, but few knew the pain behind it. Lingering effects from that trapeze fall meant he dealt with chronic back issues, yet he never let it show on screen. Yul's multilingual skills shone in roles like Anastasia in 1956, where he played a Russian general with authentic flair. Doubters thought his accent was faked for effect, but it was real, honed from years in Russia, China, and France. He switched languages mid-conversation, impressing co-stars and directors alike. In The Brothers Karamazov, he tackled Dostoevsky's deep philosophy, bringing Russian soul to Hollywood. By the end of the decade, Yul had founded his own production company, Alcyone, even commissioning Jean Cocteau, yes, the same one from his opium days, to design the logo. It was a nod to their shared past, a secret tie that added layers to Yul's enigma. People whispered about his wild youth, but until Rock's book Empire and Odyssey came out, many dismissed the Cocteau connection as gossip.